Well, hello everyone. Good morning from the hill country of outside of Austin, Texas. I'm Dr. Susan Kay, and I am delighted to introduce you to like a newest best friend because we have so much in common. And we're so excited that someone saw that and introduced us
Yeah.
and said, you two need to meet. And so we had chat on the phone and I said, I have to interview you. So here we are. So here with me today is Erica Leroy. She is a creative body release professional. Her work is to demystify, I'll make sure you heard that, the, the international erectile epidemic. Is that a great line? When I read that, this is going to be good. So she's been in the field for 30 years, but the last 10 years have been a focus on some other kinds of things. So she's going to fill us in on all that. Located in Oregon and California, right? You have also a location in California. Has done sexological body work. I mean, you and I must know a lot of the same people too, because I know a lot of sexological body folks. You can come and see her in person, or you can meet with her on the internet, or you can fly in. That's it, right? That's the three ways
Yeah.
to see you. Okay. Works with pelvic floor also, so that includes the girls. And she works along with the therapists. They create a team around any medical kind of interventions. You're part of a team, right? So exciting. That's so awesome. This is what I've been hoping for 30 years. We got to bring everybody together. You can't just get a person and talk about erectile dysfunction. You got to get in a therapist or a body worker, and you have to get in sometime a medical team. So this is just incredible. Now, I have to mention she was a Waldorf kindergarten teacher. So for all you Waldorfians out there, which one is my daughter, it was just another hook that I know her. I know who you are, Erica, what you stand for inside your integrity and your desire to be a gift to people.
Thank
And
you.
so I know that that's what Waldorf stands for. And so I just, when you said that, it's like, oh, okay, this all makes sense. um, and we're talking about how she can train other therapists, maybe come get on board with us and be part of our teams and train our body workers or work together with our body workers on this very exciting work. And so I'm going to be quiet now. I'm just going to let how did you get started? Because your start isn't exactly what you're doing now. Right?
Well, in some ways it is, because I trained in New Mexico as a natural therapeutic specialist, which was a massage training, but was all of the different modalities. And then I also did a training as a clinical herbalist back in 1980. 9 and 90. And when I first came back to Portland, that was in New Mexico. When I first came back to Portland, I bought this old house. It was an old bordello, actually, from the 1890s. And I was like, I'm going to open a healing center. And when I first started working, I was actually working predominantly with women. And they all, I'm sure you and other people watching this are familiar with this experience where sometimes you have a run where everybody that's seeing you is kind of presenting more or less the same type of question or something. And it happened that in my just advertising what I was doing, I ended up working with a lot of women who had unexplained infertility. And I guess the thread throughout my whole life is I'm curious, like the demystifying the international erectile epidemic, because I'm curious about that place where we come to, but I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know why this is. No one, I've gone to doctors and I've gone to this and I've gone to that and I've tried this and here I am. And what is it? And what I found back in 91 was that the thread of these, 8 to 10 women I was working with, and I was young, I was 20, 21, 22, were at some point in our sessions, each one of them said to me, I don't consider myself a creative person. And I grew up in the arts. I grew up in theater. My mother's an artist and now an art therapist. My father was a pediatric neurologist and very focused on, on what story and the imagination do as part of healing. So I was a little blown away by how does a person not think of themselves as creative? And isn't it interesting that what's manifesting is the inability to conceive and create another human being?
Wow.
So I pivoted with these people, with these women from, doing just the body work I had been trained to do to incorporating ritual and incorporating artistic practice. And that actually led me to decide to go finish my undergraduate degree because I had stopped and had traveled and went to do my vocational work in healing arts. And I went to the Naropa Institute. I don't know, are you familiar with Naropa?
Yes, I know folks
Yeah.
who graduated from there. Yeah.
So my undergraduate is in healing and the creative process. And I created my own interdisciplinary study of all of the arts and the healing modalities, focused predominantly on storytelling, Jung, and drama therapy, and movement therapy, dance. Oops, excuse me. And it was at Naropa that I got introduced to Rudolf Steiner in a cognitive studies class. So here I was in this Buddhist-based creative arts, healing and the creative process, and also bringing in this, anthroposophical other way of thinking. And really what drew me to anthroposophy, to Rudolf Steiner, was this bigger question, which is, what does it mean to be a free human being?
Right.
What is, we call Waldorf education an education towards freedom. And so this idea of, that's their tagline. So what does it mean to be a free human being? And then there was something that was said, which is that the entire purpose of a Waldorf education is to create healthy adult human beings who know how to sleep and breathe. So all of that kind of tied in and tied into the journey. And I taught, I was a kindergarten teacher and a classroom teacher. And then I did the remedial training through Waldorf, which was a strong focus in sensory motor and really looking at what happens in utero and how do we come into the body in the first place? What is that whole experience of really looking at what is the sensory world? How does the sensory world imprint on us? How do we respond? And it reminded me a lot of my father saying to me when I was younger, human beings really should gestate like elephants and be in utero for 2 years, but we can't physically do that. And so the brain is really, all of this wiring is still happening at a young age. So all of that, then I was in education. I ran a parenting program, so I got to watch birth to 3 for a long time and help parents really change the way that they're feeling anxious or confused and what the environment is in their bodies that allow their children to relax and restore and grow. It's when go ahead.
Stop you here for a second, because you're talking the 1 to 3 age range, and that's where I talk the 1 to 5, 7, because we don't have cognition on board, right? And we're totally reading our world through our senses.
Exactly.
So when you were teaching this for the parents or the mothers to understand about their children, I'm wondering and curious if stuff came up for them inside that window, because that's where we start our work. I don't care what age they are. It's that first 3 to 5, 7 year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I would certainly say in the work that I'm doing right now around sexuality and predominantly this element of, why haven't we figured this out yet? I've gone to a sex therapist, I've gone to a doctor, I've gone to a specialist, I've gone to this, and why have we not? And often we're coming back to this, what I like to think of as that core wiring, which is that early childhood, I say often, and I really see this, and I'm a grandmother, and I'm seeing this all the time, is that, you know, in that first period of time of life, when, especially those first 6 weeks when we don't really see, even, we see in grayscale and we're coming into the world, the constant in the first few years is genital touch. We're getting a lot of information
Right.
about, where am I? Who am I? Am I safe? Is this, is there consistency? So much happens through diapering.
Right.
Through diapering. And actually, I like to think of the image of like a starfish, and actually, and that comes also from body mind centering, that, that the genitals are not just like sort of the lower part of the torso, but actually kind of, when we start our life, once we've cut that umbilical cord, where at that, in utero, the umbilical cord was our center.
Yeah.
And then in the early years, that center actually drops down into the pelvis and into the genitals as we're diapering and wiping and giving, and having often those moments either of we're really rushed, right? Or it's also often those times of, hi, oh, and there's a little, you get that little oxytocin burst that happens
trauma,
then. And then there's trauma,
the
right?
trauma can set in and start at that early stage.
Right. What's fascinating to me in the work that I do around masturbation coaching, which is a lot of what I do at, from the sexological bodywork training, that I would say masturbation coaching has become, the biggest part of that modality that I do, is when people have actual attachment wiring disruption. Maybe they're more anxiously attached or avoidant or all of those things because of actual parent-child dynamics, that what I'm finding is this incredible opportunity to rewire and repattern the body-mind through framing it as the mind is the parent and the genitals are the child.
Okay.
Especially, in my work with the penis, or, what I like to call cock energy, but that there's a lot of, the mind will say like, the problem is you, right? Why aren't you this? Why aren't you that? I'm disappointed, da, 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 da. And there's that kind of like a child with a punishing parent. It's like, well, either I'm afraid to come out, or I'm trying to come out, I'm trying to be pleasing, but then you're mad at me all the time. Like there's an interesting dialogue that happens between the messaging that's happening from the mind as parent and the genitals as, just nerves that are like, I want to be happy, but you're sending me mixed messages. Right. So a lot of what that element I like to call cock confusion, but that element of confusion is really similar. And I really draw on my years of working with young children. And I was a grades teacher too, up through 5th grade. So, really seeing what happens and being able then to also see in all of my clients, like, oh, it's very easy for me to imagine you at these other stages of life. And where are these things where, oh, you just missed a little wiring there. Oh, maybe you never got proprioception, right? The ability to kind of sense, am I too close? Like, right?
And does it give your clients inspiration that they can see that it isn't just them, like this, I call it the noisy roommate that keeps telling us, it's our fault that you
I love that.
and so when you can give them a perspective of an anatomically outside of you, out of control occurrences that your body took on, that you don't even remember because it's stuck in your body. And does this has to transform their hope or their relationship with themselves?
It does. It does. And I would say right now, because currently a lot of my clients come to me from pelvic floor physical therapists. So most of my clients right now have been on some sort of pain chapter of life. And that could be pain, physical pain, or it could also be emotional pain. It could be stress. You know, the thing about when we talk about erectile, I like to call it erectile flow issues. I don't really think of it as a dysfunction. I think that we have this idea, like I was just showing my clients this week, you know, the erectile hardness scale that says if your penis isn't a cucumber, then it's not, then it's dysfunctional. And I'm like, well, I think female bodied people have a better embodied sense that the body is a flow state. But we create this idea for male bodied people that like it's got to be this or there's something wrong, as opposed to that there is actually an ebb and flow to how the penile function works and the arousal system works. So this week as I was, or oh shoot, now I just lost my train of thought. Your question was, does it help? And it does. What so as people come to me, what we're seeing is that like I said, they've tried a lot of different things and they've been in a pain story. And as a result of being in a pain story, their body has been reactive. And what I'm working with them on is looking at that not from a place of anxiety and fear and frustration, but what a gift that your body spoke loud enough to wake you up into consciousness.
Yes.
Right. And now your physical therapist and your doctors are saying there isn't anything left here for us to problem solve around why you're still getting a signal of pain or discomfort. So let's look at that in a different way. And is it that you're, here you are saying, okay, well, I'm done with I've got this resolved and I've got this resolved. Why is my penis still not doing what I want it to do? And then we're looking at, well, what is that internal dialogue? What are those messages that you're giving yourself? And then what I really focus on is, and this kind of comes out of a Steiner reality too, which is, as a Waldorf kindergarten teacher, what we talk about a lot is the importance of wonder, the importance of curiosity, right? And how with children, that when they ask a question that we don't just directly answer it, but we begin with, I wonder about that. Why is the sky blue? I wonder, to create space. And what I see with so many people, all of the clients, no matter what their physiology is we live in a time of extreme anxiety. And right. And what we know about anxiety is it kills the libido and it suppresses the sex hormones. So one of the things that I do that really works a lot is I just straight away, we talk about how curiosity is the antidote to anxiety. And can you just change something from, I don't know what's going on with me to, I don't know what's going on with me. Let me explore. I call all of my clients, I call them erotic explorers or erotic adventurers. I like to imagine that, we're on a quest, we're on a journey, we're on an adventure together. We're picking up little gems and tools and ways to make it so that, you will have some substance and concrete ways of doing some things different. A lot of that in terms of the masturbation technique work. But also just changing the mindset of, can we not have this be a problem and an issue? Right. But can we change it to, that your body had a reaction, and inside of that reaction, there's a sexual response. And the sexual response that you are still having is the remnant of the reactivity period of your life. And now you've cleared a lot of that away. Maybe you've worked with a sex therapist, maybe you've worked with doctors, maybe you've gone to counseling, maybe you've done meditation, whatever it is. But the genital system, the arousal system, the sensory motor system is still letting you know that it's not quite, that it needs your attention. It's not just going to happen just because this is different. Oh, now, I think the main thing my clients say to me is, I didn't realize how hard being conscious was going to be.
Oh, yeah. I think that's universal.
It is. It is. But that's why, like, what a great carrot, to be able to hold up to people. Hey, the
Yeah,
reward for consciousness is the sex life that you want,
yeah.
right? I mean, that's motivation.
And maybe it's just a sign of the times too, like these opportunities to teach people that come to us about mindfulness and about
Right.
yoga and about being able to dialogue with their bodies, and that it's not just the medical industry or the psychiatry neck up
Hmm.
folks that have the answers.
Right.
But the answers lie in our body. And like you, I've been saying this since the 80s.
Hmm.
We have
Exactly.
into what the body's doing. We just can't cut and dice and throw medications that with the advertisement, well, could cause death.
Right. Right. Well, I'll tell you, Susan, I mean, one of the things that's interesting for me in terms of the demystifying the international erectile epidemic is exactly this piece of neck up, body down. And um, when looking at, the question that drove me, so my partner died of undiagnosed diabetes at the age of 42. And in hindsight, the tell was his erectile flow. And that's actually what got me into the sexological bodywork training.
Wow.
Um, so it was that, and in combination with what was happening to me as a result of the grief. So I
Yeah.
kind of came into the training, did my own healing, and then what I saw was how many people who go into sex bod work, um, there's a lot of more, I feel like there's a lot more languaging and support for working with the female bodied sexual health than there really is around, I mean, what we do for men is we say, here's the pill, here's the pump, here's the injection. And
Yes.
if that doesn't work, off you go, nothing we can do for you. And there aren't that many practitioners, both, I mean, pelvic floor PT and sexological body work that focus more, really specifically on what's going on for men. And that, as I decided that I wanted to, because I don't want anyone else to lose a love or lose their life because we're afraid to talk about what the sexual flow, what the erectile flow is actually maybe letting us know.
Yes.
That then it became, well, as I started to research, well, why are changes in erectile function, growing proportionately with age? What does it mean that 40% of men at 40 and 50% of men at 50 and 60% of men at 60 are having a part of their body that should be healthy,
Yes.
no longer be healthy? And if it was any other part of the body, if we said at 50% of men no longer had a functioning bicep, there would be a yoga, CrossFit, Pilates type of thing on every corner,
Yeah.
right?
But
I
it's
mean, we see that already.
That's the whole thing about sexuality, though. Everybody's still nervous. I've been in this work since my daughter's born. She's 40, and she said, "Mom, your work is weird." And she, like, you've lived with this whole thing, and I mean, she's involved in all kinds of, I mean, she's not a
Uh-huh.
prude, but
Right.
that's how people see it. I mean, even
Yeah.
I was surprised and kind of saddened that still at her age, I mean, I can see in my
Mhm.
age group, the senior 50 and
Right.
overs, because that's what we grew up with,
Mhm.
as far as what you were allowed to talk about or what was inappropriate, and the Donna Reed show, and
Uh-huh.
really dating myself,
Yeah.
but it just wasn't part of all the family shows that are on. It's rarely
Mhm.
a part or a blip.
Right. I mean, we see it now. I mean, I see that my children, I mean, the age that we're growing up with and the internet and Instagram and, I mean, I just started looking at Instagram, and I just only look really at other people in our field. And it's wonderful that the information is there. I
Yeah.
will say one of the things that I notice, and maybe this is because I'm older and because I came into embodiment. It's been a long time now. And so I do feel like where we're at is a lot of people are doing meditation, doing yoga, doing mindfulness, it's another to do. I mean, I'll talk to my clients, and they'll be like, well, I have my meditation app and I do my meditation app, and it's this doing, but I'm not sure, I don't get the sense yet that it's integrating. They're not being it, right? They're not being it, and they're not integrating it. It's another thing on the, I'm a Western person. I have a very, my day is this, and this, and this, and this. And so I've scheduled in, this is my scheduled this, as opposed to a lot of what I do is, okay, well, where are the pauses? Where is the point? Where are the points in your day where you can breathe and imagine something that brings you erotic pleasure? Right? The imagination, that's another piece from Waldorf too. Is like, I work with a lot of people who don't really have creative imagination.
Oh,
right? So, and that is also a porn issue, right? So a lot of the work is connected to that.
It's a school issue because we're taught to the mandates of the state or the township or the county that your school is in. We teach, it doesn't matter. And that's why I sent my daughter to Waldorf, because it does develop the you with you, not the what the state wants.
Right. Well, and we forget how to play. A lot of what I ask people too is, do you remember? So when I'm doing masturbation coaching, do you remember a time when you played imaginatively by yourself, where you had a doll or Legos or a toy car or a rock? Or do you remember being able to create a world that you got lost in as a child?
Yeah.
And I haven't met anyone who says no. Right. But as adults, we don't do that. And we have this idea, especially around masturbation, that it's like, it's a chore, or it's something, or it's an obsession, or it's a this, or it's a that, or it's less than. And so much of what I'm trying to bring is, to me, sex is whether it's by yourself or with others, it's a play date, it's respite care, it's recreation, it's rejuvenation. It's sacred in that way. And so to be able to have an experience of, hey, this is my best friend, and I want to treat my best friend to a good play date. Maybe we're going to go to the park, and then we're going to come home and eat something, and then we're going to create a world together. Right? But you definitely don't want on a play date, this because you're a mom, and I know this, which is, the absolute worst thing is when you finally get your child to go to someone else's house for a play date. And you're like, whew, I have a little break. And then you get the call, Mom, come pick me up. So-and-so is being mean to me. And I feel like that happens a lot with sex, like in terms of the sound of the penis saying like, I don't want to play with you. You're being mean to your mind, right? That goes back to the mind body, right? The penis is like, you're not very nice to me. You keep telling me that you don't like what I'm doing. Why don't you just be quiet and let me tell you what to do for a while?
Yeah. That's so great, because there is such a, I don't know, unrelatedness. There's this huge dialogue about men and their dicks, right? It's like the big dialogue, what's my dick doing? And yet they're not tuned in and have a relationship. And I think us women get there more because, we have other things going on that we have to manage and deal with menstruation.
It's 1 o'clock.
Ovulation or birthing and all the things that we are kind of not forced, but there is that opportunity to get more related to our genitals than men. In fact, if men are getting related to their genitals, people have something to say about that. It's not,
exactly.
It's not healthy, like such a
right.
good point. I love
well,
that.
And that goes back to, when what I was thinking of saying in terms of like the bigger question for me, which is how did we get here in the first place? What's going on? Why do we have this epidemic? Because it is an epidemic. I mean, it is the percentages worldwide that we should not have a body part that is, you've got your nerves in there, you've got your blood in there, you've got connective tissue fascia in there, plus you have all of the emotion. Like there's just no reason for this to be at the level that it is. And as I started to think about it, and as I reflected back on what I experienced by being around so many human beings in these early years of life, this is what I came to as a big as what I see, which is the human being comes into the world, like we were talking about, and we are designed to wire through the senses. And we do that. Now, boys have an antenna to the sensory world that girls do not,
Yes.
right? And there comes an age where that antenna is naturally responding to the warm breeze, a smiling teacher, warm voice, a soft touch of a sweater, all of these things that we are made to have a full-bodied response to. But as our children get into, I see it certainly when they become school age, preschool, kindergarten, we have you are not allowed to have your antenna respond to the world around you.
Yeah.
That's for, that is for the bedroom, or that is for that, and so how do you ask a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old to have that much bodily control over the world giving them impression, and them authentically and truthfully and honestly being in it and feeling it? We take that away from boys. We say, you can't have that and you have to control it. Well, asking a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old to control how the sensory world impacts their body is impossible. And so what they generally do is, from a very, very early age, we encourage the head body split of dissociation, because that's the only way to do it. The only way that I can make sure that I don't have an erection in my classroom, in the locker room, at work, all of the places where erections are not allowed, the only way that I can do that is to numb out.
Yes.
And not let the senses. Now, meanwhile, for girls, because we don't have the antenna, we've created industry upon industry upon industry to engage with the sensory world. We both are wearing lipstick. We both have done our hair. We have our scents. So meanwhile, the girls are connecting to the sensory world. The boys are dissociating from the sensory world, other than being told that the place where you are allowed, at times, in specific situations, to react to the sensory world is in your reaction to women. But not too much. Again, don't let the fact that there's all this sensory stimulation. So it's very confusing. It's why it's the, again, what I call cock confusion. Am I allowed to be here? Am I not allowed to be here? Am I allowed to feel? Am I not allowed to feel? And then we have this thing called sex, where, then it's like, now you're supposed to be at, like mechanical, right? It's the erector set model, not the flow model. And not only do a lot of you mentioned before me, not only do a lot of men not really understand how their body works and what is all that, but I definitely see that a lot of women don't understand how the erectile arousal system for men is. And so we also perpetuate this, if you're not erect, is it you're not attracted to me?
Exactly.
Is it me? You're not interested? Is it this? So then there's all that dynamic that happens and all that pressure, instead of us just understanding. For everybody needs to understand, like, arousal. Arousal helps us all.
Yes.
That's the play part,
This it's not even a perspective. It's such a honest painting or picture of what goes on for the whole male species. I mean, this is
Mhm,
huge the way you framed it.
mhm.
And I can only imagine the relief that men sitting before you experience when they hear it put in this frame, right?
Right. It normalizes,
Normal.
it totally normalizes and gives a way, when you're not seeing a way out, right? Like that's why, I could use the word teach. I mean, I'm a teacher, I have a master's in education, and I could say I'm a coach, but ultimately, I feel like what I am is a guide, right? That, this is this is a trek, and we're going to go on a journey, and I'm going to make sure that you get where you are trying to get to, and we'll find, maybe we have to bring other people into the team,
Yeah.
but it takes the fear. If one of the other things, this is the other thing in the demystifying, is what I see a lot of men who are struggling, and women too, but this is a more of a metaphor directly for men that are struggling with erectile issues. It's a levity problem, right? That the stress, the anxiety, the fear, the I want to be what I used to be, even though none of us are ever going to be what we once were, instead of the imagination of what can I become, right?
Yeah.
But all of that, it creates a gravity, and I can see it in their postures. There's a deflation or a gravity, and gravity is not pro erection. So a lot of what we're trying to do
Right.
is, bring the humor, just like I said, bring the wonder and the curiosity. Where is that place where we can laugh at the foibles of what it means to be human? Right. And that is a big piece of when we're so stuck in this is only me and nobody is helping me, or I'm getting some help, but I still don't understand this. To be able to create the space where there can be some, hey, this look, of course, look at what we've done to you, of course your penis is going to be unhappy, and then let's listen to like what, like let me be that voice of your cock that's saying, hey, don't be mad at me, you're making bad decisions. And they can laugh about it.
It takes the shame and blame away.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of what our folks walk with is guilt and the
Hmm.
shame for men, especially.
Yeah.
And, how they blame their penis or they have this like uh, disconnected relationship. And they're like, why won't you work? Just work,
Right.
almost like this, third person.
Yeah.
And this third person has the control, because if they're in, I hear from my clients, I'll be in this connection with my partner, and I'm going, you know don't fail me, don't, like, stay in, like the noisy roommate that I talked about earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're going to, and all Joe has to do is like a little bit, lose a little bit, and then they're done. They
Then
lose
they're
the
done.
whole thing.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's
Mm-mm.
absolutely this relationship that
Yeah.
has been dissected in so many ways, through religions, through the way we were raised, through the way we were touched or not touched, through
Yeah.
society, through the pressures of manhood, man it up.
Hmm.
This is really great
Yeah.
work you're doing. I
It's exciting.
have already. I'm thinking about
I really love it. And right now I'm excited. I'm working on a new project, which is to do, it's a combo, it's a hybrid online and then in-person or virtual retreat that's really focused on play and relaxation. Because that's what I really see is this quality of not knowing, if you don't know how to, if you we have what is the so first we start with, do you, because this is, and maybe you see this a lot in the people that you've worked with over the years, over the decades, but what I get a lot is I want to be what I once was, like something I remember when it worked, and then something happened and it's not working anymore, and I want to be that. And I'm like, I can't make you're 45 or 38 or 68 when you're never going to have your 22-year-old penis again. but let's start building the story. It's what I like to call, let's start the next chapter of your life with an erotic introduction, right? Like who is this character? Who do you imagine yourself to be? And sometimes they can't even imagine that yet. So creating the steps, just like I would in a kindergarten or with children around, like, you do have to, like, first it's like, let's do some dress up. Let's do some, let's do some movement. Let's do, what is the sensory? What is the soap that you use to trigger? What are the ways that we're helping? What are the things we can do to trigger the body through ritual and play and the senses to say, oh, it is my time to be full and 100% here and in my body. And how that, and how understanding that playing in this way and creating not a fake porny character, but a sense of the self that you want to be when you walk in the door. This is another Steiner thing I loved, when you put your hand on the doorknob at a school, that is the trigger that everything else in your life stays outside and you step into the persona of this. And that practice of how do you have it so your home is a sacred space? Where is that place? Or maybe it's just the bathroom in your home, but where is the place where this is where I can retreat and touch myself and be in my body, and and not have it also be a pressure. A lot of the masturbation coaching I'm doing right now is, let's reframe this not as this is to have an orgasm and ejaculation. This is just to reconnect, your genital nerves back into the whole so that they say yes more. Because right now they're saying no most of the time. So it's really fun to watch people start to downregulate themselves. Right. And to be able to, I have, and you have, we have so much language and so much science and information to give around all of that, but to be able to weave, here's a little bit of the science, here's a little bit of the body work, here's a little bit of this, but ultimately all of it is, we have a limited amount of time, in our bodies. So why not choose to pursue pleasure?
Right.
And our voices, this is what I see more and more, my voice is executive brain function for a little while, what you were talking about, the chatty voice, right? So, part of that consensual dynamic that we set up is, I am going to be the voice that maybe you didn't get in school. Maybe there never was a teacher that said this is okay, or a parent that said this is okay, or a neighbor or an auntie or somebody that said, hey, it's okay to want to feel good, and it's okay to explore your body and touch yourself. And, I get a lot of people who, they're like, I started, you'll be very proud of me, I started to do something else. And then, Eric, and then I thought, well, what would Erica say? Erica would say, maybe now is you have 5 minutes. Why don't you go find a spot to just touch your penis?
But now I'm a noisy roommate.
Exactly.
That's good. I wanted that noisy roommate to get transformed.
Yeah. Right. We got to transform it to, it's good. Yeah. You can do
this way.
Yeah. Which is what we do with children, right? That's, inner speech develops over, I believe, the first 9 years. So, and not everybody even ever gets it, right? Not everybody develops strong inner speech. And, one of my favorite, this is a little tangential, but you'll appreciate this. One of my favorite stories is when my son was 3, we were driving on this road, and he was in the back seat in his car seat. And all of a sudden, with that full-bodied elation of a 3-year-old, he said, Mom, I just heard myself speak. I just heard myself think. He said, I just heard myself think. And he was so excited, right? That first inner speech. 3 years later, we were driving on the exact same stretch of road. And I hear him say from the back seat, Mom, how do you get the voice inside your head to shut up?
Wow.
And interestingly, we had been reading a children's version of Siddhartha at
Oh,
the time.
really?
And so I said, oh, well, actually, the way you get that voice to shut up, maybe, if you're lucky, for a second, is, is to be able to sit quietly and just notice and watch it. But that's, that's a big piece. So I love that being able to intermingle, all of these things that are now, like we were talking about earlier, more mainstream. I mean, the fact that we're talking about these things as mainstream, but to be able to bring it in a way that is so, integrative and personalized, right? That like, well, maybe the reason that you're not really actually feeling relaxed through your whole week is because this particular meditation style or app or whatever doesn't work for you,
Not it. Yeah.
right?
Keep
Right.
trying, keep searching,
Mhm.
because, we think one size fits all because that's what we're commercialized to. This works for everybody, or
Right.
you all love this brand of so and so, and blah
Mhm.
blah. And so,
Right.
well, if I didn't get to this brand didn't work for me, or it didn't resonate with me, I'm must be I'm too weird, or I'm too different, or
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah,
And the other thing, so another thing I've been thinking about a lot lately is with erectile flow issues, they say, they
yeah,
say, well, 80% of erectile flow issues or erectile dysfunction is medical. So diabetes, heart disease, prostate, post prostatectomy, and then 20% is like psychological stress. That's sort of the way, I've recently seen it broken down. And that's fine. But if you take that 20%, that psychological stress, and you break that down, in terms of what you were just saying about, the sort of one size fits all, like stress is so fractal, right? I mean, I've had stress because I've been dealing with legal entanglements that's different than the stress from like having a family member that I have to be a caregiver for, through in hospice or something else. That's a stress because I'm dealing with something financial. That's a stress because of my, my relationship status. That's a stress because of work. I mean, you start to break down all of the different kinds of things that the human person wasn't really set up through our education system to be prepared for what adult life is actually going to ask of them.
mhm, yeah,
And I think, to a degree, even more so for men, because I think that women have done a very, a public job of saying,
mhm,
fuck this, we can do anything and we can be anything and we can try anything. And even though the cultural idea is that men have it all,
mhm,
right, and can be all, it actually, when you start to talk with men, especially men who are having problems and are not finding people who are compassionate listeners,
mhm,
who are able to sit with them and say, yeah, no, this is a challenge. This is, you're going through, it's okay. Like it makes sense that you're having big feelings
mhm,
about, the death of a parent or the loss of a job or, all these things, but there's not a lot of spaces that have been created for men to really have that, other than like the men's movement, you
yeah.
know, but a lot of my clients don't. That's a little too far out there for them.
Well, it is looking at variations. We are all unique. And as you know, and I'm sure my listeners all know, I'm writing this book. Well, it's got the ISBN number, or whatever that number is.
Oh, that's exciting.
So it's really getting to be on its way. But the book is Am I Normal If? And it fits in with our conversation,
Hmm.
and the whole uh, if I'm not like, I see the guy on TV, or if I'm not like, well, my brother-in-law brags about his blah blah, and we are so diverse in
Hmm.
every way, and to give ourselves permission to get out of that box called normal and say, what's natural for me? And
Yeah.
how do I wire my own information on top of the wiring I got that doesn't serve me?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And that when we're able to give people the languaging and the embodied experience of what is your natural. I love that. That's a beautiful change from normal to natural, right? Because this is a primary environment, right? If we think about environments, we have our primary environment is our body, and then the next environment we come into is our family, and then our neighborhood and our community and the world, and all these different, we have to go through a lot of different environments. And and each one is its own, has a natural flow and rhythm and expectations that the poor human is trying to, how do I figure out how to do this? And it's that's why I go back to, it's confusing. And
Yeah.
if what we can offer by saying it's not about being normal, it's about finding what is your place of homeostasis too,
Hmm.
right? One of the things I love about working with the penis is, you know, it's a pretty clear midline. If you're starting to feel a little bit off, grab hold. I like to say the penis is a rudder, that stress piece. Like if you're starting to feel, that all of these different, elements of whether it's your own inner mind or things coming at you from the outside, like, isn't it nice that you can just grab it and take hold of it and, there you are.
And normalize what is your natural. Like that's what's normal
Hmm.
for me. It might
Right.
not fit in the normal box that changes yearly or with fashion or with the
Hmm.
newest book out or politicians or whatever that new normal is. Your natural stays steady. And
Hmm.
that's where, as you're saying, you need to
Hmm.
hold on to.
And if you are curious about your natural and not anxious,
Oh,
right? So if you're anxious about what is this for me, then you're going to be flooding your body with cortisol and adrenaline and norepinephrine. And so no matter what you do, you're thinking that you're moving forward. I'm trying, but I'm not getting anywhere because the natural needs the oxytocin, the dopamine, and the serotonin. I mean, this is what we know about humans, that humans grow best in an environment where they're surrounded by the neurochemistry that supports growth. And what supports growth and the desire to grow and the desire to learn is that oxytocin, serotonin,
yeah.
dopamine environment. That's actually more natural for the body, right? That the natural state of being in a human body would be for that to be the constant, and for this other thing to only come up when absolutely necessary,
Oh, yeah.
right? So when we as practitioners can both model it by embodying it ourselves,
Mm.
and then provide, I mean, I love, when people come to me for in-person sessions, that the most common thing that I hear is, I've never ever felt this relaxed.
Yeah.
I've never felt this relaxed. And I'm like, oh, that's because I just put you in like the most giant bubble of
Right.
oxytocin. Like you probably haven't felt this since like the first days of life when you were just like sucking at,
Yeah.
nursing.
It's also permission. Like you give
Hmm.
space and permission.
Yeah.
And, I think that's huge in helping people to sink in, fall in, let go, and
Hmm.
to trust. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That permission, that sink and let go and trust to me is, the way that I think about love, unconditional love, is like the net that is underneath a tightrope walker, right? That
mhm.
all of us, each one of us spends our life walking our own tightrope. But
Yes.
the beauty of, like, you're going to fall at times, and if the people around you and the support that you have is that net underneath, it makes you more courageous to try. Maybe instead of just walking across the tightrope today, I'm going to do a little spin, or I'm going to do a little twirl. I'm going to be curious, I'm going to be open to doing something a little bit differently, because I know that there's a place where I can land and I can bounce into it and I can feel soft and and then when I'm ready, I can get back up and try again. And that's really what we provide. I feel like that's, that's what we provide for our clients and our loved ones.
Well, I think we should just stop right here with that visual of, having that net, that's
Yeah.
even something that could be said inside of relationships. My partner is my net, and if we could get that visual and have that feeling, you are able to feel safe in stepping into unknowns or trying new things or
Absolutely. Especially if the net is here and it's not my partner is my net, as in I've put a net over you and caught you.
oh
And
yeah, let's
right.
oh,
that's why it's the southern net, because sometimes people are like, oh, I'm freaking out because I feel like I'm trapped. It's like, no, you're held. You're held and supported.
well, thank you
Beautiful.
so much. This has been
Oh, thank you.
so educational. I'm excited to get you up on our YouTube channel and
Beautiful.
to look forward to what you and I can generate and create together. And I honestly do have like a couple, 3 clients I thought
Okay.
I'm going to
Wonderful.
talk to.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, it's such a pleasure to be your guest. I'm really, honored, and it's wonderful to see you and have the conversation. And right now, to access me,
To find
it's
you.
best, to find me. I'm most easily accessible at Erica with a C. Erica at creativebodyrelease.com is my email. And then I have just a link. I have a link tree that has all of the different platforms that I'm on. I don't have my own website, and that is just Linktree Creative Body Release. So
Okay.
that's where I'm at right now.
Right.
And let me know if you see this video and you're interested. I do offer, a free initial consult as well.
Oh, wow. Can I get one? Yeah, I would.
Absolutely.
Even to know the work deeper for men and women. Now that you have, it sounds like you have more men, but I'm thinking of some women too that would benefit from the work. So
I do. I have a few women that I work with, especially if they've come from other providers or people where they've already kind of done some layers of work. Then we can dig in together around play. And great.
sounds fun.
Good.
Thank you again, Erica.
Thank you.
Have a productive day and we'll talk soon.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.